Alrighty.
All right, welcome in to the Over Under podcast. I guess some people call these the emergency podcast edition, but it's Friday afternoon, 5:15, and the Massachusetts House approved the legalization of sports betting, 156-3. Now, there was 160 people who had the opportunity to vote, Dan. 156 of them said yes. 3 of them said no. They were from, it was Connolly of Cambridge. It was the rep of the Middlesex County. And then the Hyde Park, Roslindale, West Roxbury, Mattapan area, which I'm ashamed of. And then there was one who didn't vote at all. But I think 156-3 is unanimous, Dan. And it looks like everybody seems to be on the same page to legalize sports betting. So your thoughts on the 156-3 thrashing to legalize those?
Well, first off, we're back where we are a couple years ago when the House did approve it. I'm glad to hear that the House has passed it through. There are obviously things I like about it, things I don't. It's not perfect. It's there's still a lot of issues to kind of discuss, but it's a start. I was never really worried about the House passing it. It hasn't been the House of Representatives that has been the issue. It's been the state. And in my opinion, it's been the governor, this Charlie Baker, who is a problem. And I know that Charlie Baker has publicly been in support of it and has technically put multiple sports betting bills on the docket. However, I don't believe that Mr. Baker ever wanted them to pass, from everything I've heard. And I still feel that way. I believe that Mr. Baker wants something in return for the passing of sports betting, and that if he doesn't get it, he will be using it to run his next platform on re-election, and that will be one of the big things that he uses for his platform for re-election. So, in my opinion, we have taken a good first step again. But we have a long way to go here. And the Senate bill, which has been being discussed in the Senate, does not look anything like the one that just passed in the House. And that is extremely, in my opinion, extremely concerning.
So we've been here before. The House has approved this. It's gone to the Republican Senate before. And the Senate leaders have not said when they plan to take up a sports betting bill, nor have they indicated whether they want to take up the House bill, or et cetera. So it does not include college sports betting in some cases, which would impose different fees. The one that was approved yesterday will include sports betting, college sports betting. There's an August recess around the corner. So the negotiations between the House and Senate are unlikely to start until at least September.
If they don't get it passed in the next couple of weeks, yes. That sucks.
How could they get it? Well, I guess the August recess.
Right. So, I mean, listen, it is very possible that this happens in the next couple of days to weeks. I don't think it's going to happen in the next couple of days to weeks. And well, let's kind of discuss, I guess, kind of start where we are. Okay, so as we just kind of talked about, the House has passed it. Was it 156-3 and one abstained from voting or whatever, and the 3, rejected it. So it passed easily. This is kind of where we were last time, and the difference of last time was that the mass state taxes for book operations, so operators is what they're called, was the lowest in the area. And the reason that the lowest in the area was important for Massachusetts was because that it would draw a large number of people, a large number of operators to the area. You could go from, kind of being that New Jersey type area where you have, these 10 legalized books where you can choose from. Unfortunately, that is not the case now. And the bill that the House passed yesterday is very different. So to give you an example, Massachusetts taxes for operators to go through. 12.5% for in-person. That means if you have a physical ticket in your hand, in-person will be 12.5%. App taxes will be 15%, and then local sports teams will be 1%. So if it's in-person or app, doesn't matter. You're adding that extra 1% to all the local sports teams. Red Sox, Yankees, Yankees, Red Sox, Bruins, Celtics, Patriots, Boston College, BU, any of the local schools you're going to be betting on, you're going to be getting an extra percentage there. To give you an idea of where things are around the area, okay, New Hampshire right now is 60%. So it is a massive, massive tax percentage. And my assumption, the reason that New Hampshire has such a high tax percentage on their operations is because they are also taking the Massachusetts crowd. If Massachusetts legalizes it, New Hampshire is going to absolutely have to drop their tax percentage in order to stay competitive with, the Massachusetts operations. Now, again, New Hampshire only has one operator, which is DraftKings, so it's kind of an exclusive rights deal there. To give you an idea where everything else is, Connecticut will be paying a 13.75% tax on sports betting. So that is for app and in person. So 13.75% in Connecticut. Right now, currently Rhode Island is the same model as Delaware, where they only have one operator as well, and they are doing 51% revenue sharing with taxes between the state casinos and operators. So 51%. So that means the operator, William Hill, gets to take home 49%. Now you'd say, okay, that sounds fucking great. Massachusetts is what? 13 to 15%, 12 to 15%, whatever it is. And New Hampshire's at 60 and Rhode Island's at, 51. What's the problem? Okay, here is the problem. We have the Massachusetts setup is going to be very much like Washington, D.C., which has turned into an absolute clusterfuck. The fact that you're hoping, and it's going to depend on every operator and how they want to operate, but you're hoping with operators that are getting massive handles like they will potentially in the state of Massachusetts, that they're going to want a lower tax percentage. Otherwise, they're going to bump that VIG up because they're going to be getting such a large handle that it doesn't matter whether they do a 20-cent line like they would, guys like me and Joe need 20-cent lines, or if they're doing a 15-cent line or a 30-cent line, which is minus 115 on both sides for players who may be betting $100-200. It really, at the end of the day, $5 doesn't matter on a bet. No, $5 to $10 really doesn't mean much. But if you're betting thousands of dollars over and over and over and over and over, then it does matter. And that is kind of where we are right now, is that Massachusetts is going to have a tax problem because their handle is not going to be near New Jersey size. So it's not going to be that the operators are going to be okay with maybe a higher tax percentage in return for a bigger handle. The handle is going to be smaller to start. And this is going to cause, in my opinion, a problem. And I tried to explain this to Daniel Wallach. He didn't quite agree with what I was saying, but we're going to find out if it does pass. I'm viewing the taxes as a real fucking problem. And I'm very hopeful that operators are going to still give out minus 110. The other problem and the other aspect of this, Joe, is there are only going to be 3 licenses approved for applications, meaning that even if we have a shitload of in-person betting places, Fenway Park or, the Encore, or I assume the MGM and in Springfield will get one, yada, yada, yada. Okay. Regardless of that, you're only getting 3 online apps So that means you're getting 3 operators that can act online. I believe that DraftKings will probably be one of those. My guess is since we have an MGM, it'll probably be one of those, and then probably whatever Encore wants to use. That's my guess, and then that's just a pure guess, just based off what we have and what kind of makes sense around here. If you only have 3 operators on apps and they're going to be charged 16% or more, depending on if you're betting local teams, there's a good chance you're looking at 30 to 40 cent lines, which means that Massachusetts sports betting for a large majority of bettors will be absolutely fucking useless. And
Right.
I mean, in the nicest way possible.
So this is the debate, because clearly we know people want to bet legally. They drive to New Hampshire or bordering states already. Do people care? Like, we preach on this show to find the best line, which if there's only 3 books, obviously it's going to be a heavier vig or juice or percentage of money towards the original bet. So do you think that the average person would scoff at that? Because we do, Dan. Over a long term of betting, if you bet something and it's minus 150 and you lose, now you're down 150. You lose it again, now you're down 300 instead of 220. You know what I'm saying? Like, that adds up. I'm curious if the typical fan knows this or will learn the hard way. And I think the Masters will rake on this.
Yeah, so I very much agree with that statement, which is why 3 operators and the taxes being where they are, in my opinion, is a real problem. And I think we're in for a bit of an issue going forward, where if the Senate, now starts talking about removing college sports betting, which is their main issues with college and college sports betting. If I'm them, I'm hoping that maybe the agreement can be that, we can't bet on, BC football games. You know what I mean? Like if that's the agreement, then I think that, that'd be great. But if we're talking about getting rid of college sports betting in general,
it's a deal breaker.
I mean, now you've lost a large portion of your betting income, and now I really think that books are going to try and make up for lost ground. And now everywhere I look in this bill, the problems arise with the taxes and the licenses. And to me, that is the biggest thing that needs to be addressed moving forward. Now, you're hopeful that early on things will be better. And yes, I do agree with you that Massachusetts will absolutely rake, or these operators can absolutely rake on 40-cent lines or 30-cent lines, because I don't think anyone is going to know the difference here, because I think, most of the people who are going to be betting at these places, if they have 40-cent lines or, 30-cent lines, are probably going to be people who have no idea what the fuck they're doing and just kind of want to have some action on the game before they watch the game, whether it's an NFL Sunday or whatever. For people who actually care and actually know what they're doing and have any sort of modicum of an idea, it's a problem, and it's impossible to win that way. It's hard enough to win on 20-cent lines at minus 110. It is virtually impossible to win on 30-cent lines, and it's straight up impossible to win on 40-cent lines, which is why people out in Montana get absolutely fucked. I mean, Montana has like 70-cent lines if you don't, if you haven't seen anything. It might even be worse, actually, to be honest with you. I think on some stuff it's worse. I think it's like 90-cent lines on some stuff. So, go take a look at what DraftKings has for New Hampshire. A lot of their stuff is 30-cent lines. Yeah, I think this is a problem, Joe. I do, and I know I think our buddy Joe over there is a little tired. But yeah,
I'm looking down. That's what.
Okay, yeah, but
every time I look down, is he asleep? No, I'm here.
Okay. All right. Yeah. No. But I do think that this is a problem going forward, Joe. And I'm concerned. I'm trying to be positive about this, because I do think that it does feel like there's some legitimate momentum and a real push to kind of get this done. And that's kind of the stuff that you're hearing around it, is that there's a real push to get it done. The problem is going to be, Does Baker agree? Does the Senate agree? And is the push going to be there as well? Because I have a feeling that while this may be a strong push from some people, there's still going to be a large push back. And if you remember a couple weeks ago, there was a talk, a big kind of conference about this. And you had, who's the BC hockey coach, that fucking asshole. I don't remember his fucking name because he's Jerry York, talking about how, sports betting would be a huge problem for his players. I mean, a fucking guy, Jerry York, who, I mean, the betting on college hockey is, the market is so fucking small and infantile, it would not affect him whatsoever. So it's just an asinine opinion from a guy who has no idea what the fuck he's talking about. But nonetheless, I digress. The point is that there is still a lot of pushback against this, and this is a real problem.
Yeah. So here's some pushback to kind of throw it out there. If a casino gets a license to do sports betting, it will be open 24 hours and they can serve alcohol until possibly 4 a.m. So therefore, this takes out of the pocket of the bar that's open until 1 or 2 a.m. So this is taking away from them, taking away from their business. So I get the argument, because you put something in the area, it's not going to take away from these people. Baker has something in place where he has set aside $35 million to compensate those places for losses if they do add, if this thing does get passed. So he has a plan in place for this. The other concerns are, as you mentioned, the college gambling. If you take out college gambling, it's not worth it. You're missing out on so much. I know you mentioned hockey, Dan, but like college basketball and college football are big deals. Like college baseball was a big deal this year, even softball for that matter. So like you take that out of the mix, that's a lot of money. I'll be fine if they want to take out personal college stuff, like will this college player have over 18 points tonight?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I think player props for college is something that the state can live without a doubt.
But someone asked, could they pass the gambling bill and amend the tax and licensing stuff? No. This stuff needs to be in place before they pass it.
I mean, they can change it. It is possible, Joe, but it's very rare. I think Illinois is one of the only places that has actually amended the amount of licenses and everything that kind of goes into it. So yes, it's possible. It's also very unlikely, which is why this is a problem. This is a problem, and people need to start. If people really want gambling to, be done in Massachusetts and do well, like you take a look at what New Jersey's done and the fucking handle that New Jersey gets. I'm not expecting New Jersey because they're getting part of New York too, but there should be a huge fucking handle in Massachusetts between the sports teams and all the sports fans in this state. And you'll probably get some people from New Hampshire come down for certain operators. You'll probably be able to get people from Connecticut or Rhode Island to come up for certain operators. Like that's how it's going to work. But if you start restricting three online or three mobile, app operators, and then, all these in-person, I can't even imagine what the VIG is going to be in a place like Fenway Park, right? I mean, can you imagine? What do you think it's going to be? It's going to be 80-cent lines or 50-cent lines during the game because they know that people are going to be fucking stupid and want to bet on it. So, in my opinion, it's a disaster. The way right now, the way that they have it planned is a complete and utter disaster. And I am very concerned that if we don't clean it up and they don't clean it up by the time it goes to the Senate, in terms of expansion, tax rate, and I understand that they're upping the tax rate to kind of even out with the Senate, and I understand there needs to be negotiation there, but I'm very concerned with the way things look. I'm trying to be optimistic, but it really could be a disaster. I think there's more downside than upside with the way that they've done it. And someone just asked, have any companies bid yet to do the rights for mobile sports betting? My guess, I don't know. I've heard that DraftKings has pushed very hard to get into Massachusetts. So my guess is that DraftKings would probably be one of the operators. They're already up there in New Hampshire. If Massachusetts wants to start taking money back from New Hampshire, it would only make sense to kind of have that, to have them as an operator. It would make sense to have MGM because there is an MGM physical location in Springfield. So that would make sense to me. And then whatever Encore wants to do since their win, it could be William Hill. It could be I don't know, something else. I'm not sure what the win operates on, but whatever it is, Joe, it's 3 is not enough. There needs to be, honestly, 15 operators for apps, and you're not going to fill 15. But fine, give me 8, give me 10, give me something. And then it should be, in my opinion, there should be less in person. There are less in-person places than there should be literally physical places. And I know Barstool, as you just kind of talk about, Barstool is going to be one that wants to push in. Like, there's going to be real competition for 3. Massachusetts to see this and say, we should expand this to 5, 8, whatever. Yes. Get as much as you can. I don't understand I just don't understand the whole point of getting 3 operators and then only having that, and we're having multiple people talk about Barstool. Like, Barstool makes sense too. So that's my point. FanDuel makes sense too. Like, there's so many different operators that should be in this fucking state. And this is my concern. I am concerned with the way that things are going and the way that this looks and kind of the stuff we're hearing from the Senate right now. I'm hopeful. I'm optimistic and hopeful that maybe they'll amend the number of licenses or whatever for a higher tax percentage, which I think would actually be better because more competition will breed lower VIG. And that is also true. The more operators, the lower the VIG, because someone will continuously go to one specific book if they have a lower VIG. So more competition breeds lower VIGs, which is also true. So it's just, there's a number of aspects here to kind of think about, and Massachusetts really needs to make sure that they get this right. And I think that there needs to be some amendments made to this. Well, and I'm hopeful those will be made in the next couple of weeks before it goes to the Senate.
So this is why I don't think it's going to happen.
I agree.
There's too many holes to poke through. It's not that this one got passed because everyone agreed. Dude, $960 million of the first quarter of this year. The first quarter of the year, $960 million came in through the gambling industry this year. That's just in the first quarter of the damn year.
Yep.
And obviously, they're watching other states, Rhode Island, Connecticut, New Hampshire, New York. They all have legalized. So it's time to legalize sports betting, and I think everybody agrees with that in the state. They also mentioned that 30% of bettors go to New Hampshire from Massachusetts. So that's a lot of money. Now, licensing fees for the 3 casinos is going to be a huge issue, Dan. There's obviously 2 racetracks and 9 mobile operators. So these are all in the bill. Fees for 3 casinos, 2 racetracks, and 9 mobile app operators. And they think that this could generate as much as $80 million for the state to start. And then they'll do a renewal every 5 years. I don't like that idea either. 5 years, dude. This stuff changes yearly, every other year. Like, if it's a 2-year, 3-year deal, I'm fine. But you're going to put something in place for 5 years? And then it mentions that the state could cash in another 60 to 70 million in tax revenue annually with the in-person bets, with all the other taxes in it. So that's $150 million to pass this thing.
Yep.
I'd love to see it passed. I think there's too many holes. But again, what does the Senate think? Do they look at this and say $150 million, like 5-year deal? And this is where the here comes the new re-election time for Governor Baker and whoever else comes in. I hate politics. But I bet you it's already determined, Dan, who's going to be like, who's getting what. And what, if DraftKings is involved, we know that Kraft's already involved. You know what I mean? There's a lot of things I think already known on what's going to happen. I'd just like to see it pass because I think everybody agrees that there should be sports betting. So, like, what bill do you want to put it towards? And, why do you have to have a flaky system? Like, this is the worst bill ever put together. So why would Massachusetts bless this bill? That's a serious question.
Yeah, I mean, you're unfortunately you're not wrong. It is very much a concern of mine as well, Joe. I mean, this is kind of exactly what I've been talking about, and this is kind of exactly what I'm concerned with. Now, I do think that at the very least, Joe, right? I do think the fact that they're talking about possibly adding more operators could be a good thing. But I agree. The fact is that at the end of the day, like it does feel as if it just feels like we're off. It feels like there's just not enough momentum to get this thing passed, as you kind of said, and that if it does get passed, it's going to get passed in a half-assed way where we're going to be stuck with a shitty ass place for 5 6 years.
5 years. It's terrible.
Yeah, I just, and again, like, there's no kind of, there's no ability to rediscuss after a year or two. Like, that doesn't really make much sense to me either. Like, wouldn't you want to reassess how things are after a year or two? Hey, we need to do this. Hey, we need to fix this. I mean, that's in my opinion how it should be. Clearly, that's not how it's going to go, which is concerning. I think it's concerning. So, yeah, I'm super worried about it. I'm trying to be optimistic about it. I do think that there's a legitimate chance that we see it in the next couple of months. I think it's possible. I do, but I think that the possibility for it to be useful for anyone who actually wants to use it to make actually a profit, not just go bet a couple $100 on the Patriots every week and whatever. Anyone who wants to actually make a profit, I unfortunately I don't see it. I don't see that happening. I don't.
Yeah, I mean, I know a lot of people want this thing to go down when something's past 156-3. It seems like people are pretty interested in doing something. One thing I saw that was interesting was the rep for Lynn was basically said, it's fun. People are allowed to have fun. Sports betting is fun. It was one of the things that they said. Another added that, considering gambling here, the U.S. Supreme Court in May of 2018 ruled that nearly the nationwide prohibition of sports wagering was unconstitutional and gave states the ability to legalize it. So, bringing it to Massachusetts, people are already betting on sports. So why not get it here?
Yep.
30 states do it. We're surrounded by it. Some other rep said the House bill would put sports betting under the Gaming Commission, which would require all bettors to be at least 21, which is fine, living in Massachusetts. But the amount of safeguards to protect against gambling, woof, there's a lot of it. You mentioned MGM, Encore, Plain Ridge. Those are the two simulcasting facilities right now. There's obviously the racetracks as well.
The stadiums. I mean, your Fenway Park has been bandied about as a potential location, which I think is just those are the pop-up shots that you're going to get screwed at. Those are the places that are going to be 30, 40 cent lines. You're not going to have a chance to win there.
Yeah, and we mentioned 70 to 80 million just in licensing fees.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing is like if the more operators they have, the more they'll be able to collect on those fees. That's why I'm very concerned about the number of operators that we're potentially looking at here, Joe. It doesn't make a whole hell of a lot of sense to me.
What else? Do you know that the sports teams here got their hand in this too?
Yes, I do. That's the 1%. That's the 1% fee that they're talking about, which is why the sports team's backing it. The 1% really doesn't bother me because at the end of the day, 1% is 1% and they'll make something of it too. I just and I do think that the local sports support, the local team support is going to be needed to pass this by anyone, because I think that's going to be part of it. A lot of the Kraft and Henry and those guys are big time fucking swinging dicks around here, and I think those guys are going to be needed to kind of help pass this thing, to be perfectly honest with you. But I'm just super confused on why they're not adopting the most. You take a look at all the models out there, Joe. I mean, the state of Massachusetts, we have smart people here. We're supposed to have smart people, and like, you take a look at all the models out there. You should really just look at, say, hey, which is the model that's most successful? Which is the model that generates the most revenue? And if you just look at the New Jersey model, it really should everyone should just be copying and pasting the New Jersey model. That's what it should be. And I just don't understand why that's so difficult for states like Massachusetts and everyone to get it right. So we'll see what happens. Again, I'm trying to be optimistic about it. I really am. And I'm pessimistic because of the way that things are progressing. And I still will believe that Governor Baker will sign off on this when he signs off on it. That's when I believe that this is happening, because I won't believe it until then. I believe that this is something that he wants to run his reelection on, and I stand firmly by that. That's the reason I don't believe this is going to pass.
See, what I think is going to happen is it's not going to get passed, or they won't talk until after Labor Day, right?
Which is probably the most likely date. Yes,
and then people are going to be antsy. Oh, sports betting, mass, da 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 da. And then, like, somehow they'll meet again, like, after football season, and be like, we have to do this next year, which means they'll put everything in place. I see 2022. That's the year I see it, maybe going into the next football season. But I know that if people are ready, man. If this thing comes down, they're already prepared. I know there's a bill in place to help places. And my only thing is, can I hear from someone from the state why it's bad? Like, don't give me, it's, cronies and, but no, it's already happening around you. The people in your state are already doing it. So can you give a better answer than, look at the tax implications here. It's kind of stupid not to sign off on it for a 5-year deal. It's actually kind of stupid. I don't like the deal either, but it's stupid not to lock something in for 5 years that will go up every 5 years. I just think it's stupid. But
yeah.
It's aggravating.
It is aggravating.
And to be personal here, yes, we are betting anyways, which I agree. Like, personally here, Dan, nothing's going to change for me or you. I'm going to do my thing. I'll shop, but it's not going to change for me. It's not going to change for you. But I know people want to bet legally. And the other thing too, Dan, is, this is going to open up a whole other thing. This becomes legal here. Now, all of a sudden, they need people like us to, hey, we've been doing this for a while. We know how to, it becomes big for us personally, which is selfish. But nothing's going to change for me. Like, I'm going to do what I do already. And I just wanted, so it becomes a thing where it opens up more jobs. And that's something that's missing a lot of this is, the places that will open, the jobs that will be created here. Like, it would be huge. And you mentioned that New Jersey model, dude. Every month, I met, Ravel or some jerk will put out the betting handles from across the country. And every month I'm like, where was Massachusetts on here? I just think that they don't realize how much money they're really going to make. And we're in a state, dude, where, especially the city, people got dough to spend and money to burn. And I think they dropped the ball years ago. But I just don't know what incentive does the state have. And all I can think of is a re-election. That's the only thing I got there.
I mean, that's what I think is going to take to require. That's what I think it's going to take for it to pass. I think it's going to have to be a big time platform for someone to use it. Otherwise, you're going to have to grease too many hands. And, for the people I've been fighting with on Twitter who tell me that that politicians aren't dirty and it's because they are all scared of going to jail. Okay. um, every single politician in this country is fucking dirty to an extent. So I don't buy that. And most of them, especially in the local houses and senates, are very dirty. Those are the easiest people to grease, and kind of get away with it. So in my opinion, that's the craziest opinion in my opinion. But regardless, look, this is going to be something that if it happens, I think it's our duty to continue kind of talking about why it needs to be done in a certain way. And I think that Sam Payanovich has been another guy who's kind of on this, and I'll even give the guys, the other station some credit. Mutt has kind of been on top of this and everything, and I do think that. It's important that our state gets it right if we're going to do it, because otherwise it's going to become useless to a lot of the big time bettors. And it's going to be really, really hard to support, if it's not done correctly. And there's still going to be a lot of people betting through, the bookies, because there's no reason to stop betting through bookies even if it is legalized, because if these books suck, smart people will go to the bookies instead and bet there. So we'll see. It's going to certainly be interesting. If Joe, why don't we play some odds on it? We are a gambling podcast. I think we should play some odds on it. If you were going to place a line on the yes, Massachusetts gambling to be legalized, let's say before the end of 2021, I think that's fair. Before the end of 2021, what odds would you give yes?
Plus 450 yes, no minus 700.
Okay, yeah, I think I'd probably go plus 350 yes. I think plus 350 yes would probably be my price, and the reason I think is I just don't think that it's likely that the Senate and Baker and everyone else who really need to kind of push this through are going to push it through. I don't think that that's going to be, something that happens. I truly do not think so. And by the way, plus 350 is a 22.2% implied probability percentage. So I think that's about right. Probably about 20%. Now we just got another question. Would you guys prefer the bill change before it's passed, or if it's passed, would you be okay with it? If it's the bill from the House, honestly, I wouldn't like either of the bills to pass, because I don't think that either of them are done correctly. But if one was going to pass, I'd much prefer it be the bill from the House and the Senate. The one from the Senate would be an absolute travesty, and really, I mean, it would have no college sports. It would really be useless to a lot of bettors. So I would say I would prefer that it doesn't get passed, just based upon the bills, but at least it would be a start if it did, as long as the one from the House of Representatives and not the Senate. That's the way that I would look at it. So hopefully that answers that question. Joe, I don't think we have anything else. I don't think we have anything else today, unless you do.
Nope. I mean, we can do a little bit on this tomorrow. We'll be on live tomorrow morning, 7:09. We can do a little on this, but there's not much besides it got passed again, and now it's up to the Senate. There's a break in August. If they get to it quickly, I'd be shocked. But either way, you still can bet. We just not in Massachusetts. Those tax numbers, man, are crazy. Those tax numbers are crazy.
Yep.
The more I look at this, man, I don't know if I want it to happen. I want people to just be, yay, we don't have to bitch about it anymore. Nothing's going to change for me anyways, but it will. Other people will change. Like, I don't know. We talk about books to use and not to use, and Now if it's legal, it's like, oh yeah, we're going to advise you to bet minus 150 on a minus 3. Like, yeah, that's going to be hard.
It's going to be very hard, and especially if there's going to be sponsorships and everything that kind of goes with it. I'm going to straight up tell you, I'm probably just going to be honest about shit. I know that you're kind of the sway me, pay me guy. I'm just going to be honest about shit.
But I think there's going to be a little, that little thing that goes, the viewers' discretion. The viewers that you see here are not part of whatever. Like, some people will be getting paid to sway, which is not going to be cool. But all I'm saying is, I'll be real, man. If there's juice, it's not worth a bet. Like, it's just, I don't know. You put 5 bets in, dude, and you're all juiced up, like, or vigged up, like, you're not going to be profitable, man. Plus, what do you have to win? Like 52% of the time to be.
You have to win 53.4% of the time at minus 110 to just break even. So you really realistically have to hit 54% to be profitable at minus 110. The best bettors in the world hit 56 to 57%, some 55%, like long term. It is impossible at minus 115. It's virtually impossible to win. Yes, it can be done, but it's basically impossible. At minus 120 aside, it's literally impossible. It straight up can't be done. You cannot win. Cannot win that way. Just it can't be done. So, it's straight up that's why this is important to people like me and Joe. And I know there's going to be people who kind of disagree with us and say we just want to legalize. And I understand that sentiment and I understand that side of it. I just I don't agree. I don't agree. I just don't agree at all. So.
All right. Well, we'll see what's on tap for tomorrow. The draft in a week away. I think we should get into that. We're going to do Conference USA.
Conference USA college football preview tomorrow. And we'll start discussing. There are some rumors that came out today about Kawhi Leonard. As we kind of talked about a couple weeks ago, Joe, on this podcast, I said that I thought Kawhi Leonard would be leaving the Clippers, and Mark Stein came out with that today, that it's no guarantee he'll be back. I believe that, as I said, I believe that Kawhi Leonard will still be leaving. There is some information about the Lakers that is starting to come out that I believe could be interesting if you're looking for some future bets for next year that we can talk about for the NBA. And finally, there is potentially some big NFL news that is going to drop potentially today, or sometime in the next couple of days, that I think will change the landscape of one entire division, and we'll see if that gets dropped today, or if maybe that gets dropped tomorrow. Maybe we can beat the race to it and talk about that tomorrow morning. There's also Olympic basketball starting Sunday, we can discuss that, as well as maybe some soccer bets I'll give out tomorrow, because there's not a whole hell of a lot going on, and maybe some NBA draft props. So I think that's probably where we'll be focusing, and we'll throw in a little baseball tomorrow too.
In the meantime, I do want to look if there's a bet out there. Will a game be postponed or forfeited for teams that aren't vaccinated? I'm curious if there's a bet out there for that.
I have not seen one yet. I will look. That feels like something that Bet Online would have. That feels like something that Bet Online would have. If as a prop, I will be on the lookout for those for you tomorrow.
That actually kind of interests me when it comes to win totals. That'd be just crazy, man.
I believe that it says all games have to be played. So I wonder if there is a game that is forfeited, if that will cancel a win total. Maybe I'll look into that tonight to give you an answer tomorrow.
All right, then that's it. We did a whole thing on sports betting tonight for those who love to know all about that stuff.
Yep.
All right. Well, it's Friday night. I'm done. You're done.
Me too. Nope.
Buy our t-shirts. residentlocal.com/98 the sports up. They gave us 2 of them. I want a Wrangle shirt.
I do too.
I think we should just make those on our own. That'd be cool.
Maybe we should make a Scott Foster hates Chris Paul shirt. An Illinois fucking sucks shirt. There's a lot. There's a lot of options. A lot of options. So
that'd be cool. All right, let's get out of here. Thank you, everybody. That was a 45-minute podcast on politics. Jesus.
I know.
Well, anyways, thanks everybody for listening. Thank you for chatting in. We're back Saturday morning, 7 a.m.
Tomorrow morning.
Highly rated 98.5 the sports up.
Very highly rated.
For Dan Lifshats, I'm Joe Murray. This has been another edition of the DraftKings Over Under Show.
Who you got?